Welcome back to KMOT First News at 6. Last year, the Northwoods League announced it would be launching a women's softball league and that Minot would host one of the very first teams in this new league. Well, today, we now know the name of the team. The Minot Honeybees will take the diamond at Corbett Field this summer. Leadership with the franchise unveiling the name at a special ceremony this afternoon at the Roosevelt Park Zoo, just across from the ballpark. Honeybees was one of 4 finalists of possible names submitted by viewers that included Valkyries, Bombshells, Charm, and Valhalla Dallas. We'll have more from today's big announcement on this new name and logo tonight on First News at 10. Very exciting. Well, when we interview athletes at practice, we usually catch up with them after school. The team I spoke with this week, whose members are the Serve Pro Athletes of the Week, get their practice in before the day even begins. Their hard work paid off this past weekend in the form of a state title. Here's my report on the Minot High dance team. This is the routine that clinched the Varsity Palms state title for Minot Dance, their first championship since 2010. While the athletes got to celebrate their title before family and supporters, the work in getting to this point goes on here in the bowels of Minot Central Campus each morning before the sun even rises. Senior Maddie Clean says the team puts in long days to perfect their routines.
We do practices in the season from October till here now, obviously, and then those are all early morning practices at 5:30.
Varsity earned runner-up status for kick finals, and JV also earned runner-up for hip-hop finals.
Issues when we do the
Sarah Holliday has been involved with the program for several years now, going back to being a dancer herself. But this was her first year as head coach. She says the team goes the extra mile.
They push through 4 routines, which is pretty unheard of. Not a lot of schools actually do all 4.
Fellow seniors McKenna Burkhart and Kaylee Teets say the dancers lean on each other to get the most out of each other.
We drill and drill and drill every single day. We hold each other accountable, and that really helps us push as teammates.
It's amazing. The girls are great. The coaches are great. They push me to be my best every single day, and I wouldn't ever take those moments back.
Holliday says the team's seniors set the bar.
Their dedication to each other and to their team is truly amazing. They're really good leaders, and they're part of the reason I think we were so successful this year is because of how they worked with the girls, how they worked with each other, and they just really truly believed in the team.
Putting in the work for a championship run they'll never forget. I want to thank the team and the coach for speaking with me. They were voted fan favorite for their kick routine as well. Kaylee Kristen was selected for the NDADD scholarship, and the middle school also won the state title in jazz and pom. Congrats to all. The Class AA polls are in today. For the boys, the Minot Magicians cling to the top spot because their loss to Bismarck at the back end of last week was their first on the season. Davies and Century are also getting first place consideration. Dickinson just beat the Patriots last night. In the girls' poll, Century took a bit of a bite out of Minot's lead in the AA. The Majettes were unanimous last week. Century was able to get 3 votes here. The Riders and Eagles switch places, and the Sabres stay at number 5. Mandan's also getting votes there. Hey, that's all we have in sports, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.